What's up, everyone? Welcome to Ask Steve number 5. Yep, that's what this is. I'm doing it with this time. Oh man, I'm actually going nuts. So if you're new here, you don't know what this is Ask Steve number 5. What I do is, in this video, you ask questions in the comments about anything trading card related, buying and selling on eBay related, life related, how to pull yourself up out of the mud. I think that's what I did anyway. And how to be overall just try to gradually get better at things in life. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to show people, teach people. We're all just trying to get 1% better every single day, 1% better every single week. Just trying to get a little bit better at the time. Is this camera straight? There we go. So I have all the questions from last week. I only got like 10 or 11 questions here. So this might be a relatively short video. So what I'm asking, I'm pleading, I'm begging. Put some awesome questions down in the comments. They can be ranging from anything. You can ask me about a like specific product or something that you think is good to buy and sell and my thoughts on it. Or just like running an eBay store or little tips to make your eBay store better. Or maybe things about time management, things about whatever you want. That's what we're here for. We're here for discourse. We're here to have a little bit of fun. Now, number 5. That's crazy. We're on 5 of these already. The next video will probably be about 2 weeks. I'm trying to get these done every 1 to 2 weeks. It depends. I had a lot of questions in the very last one and number 3 as well. So it was around 50 questions and 40 questions. So I just want to make them shorter time period, and I'm just like giving really good answers to like 10 questions, 20 questions instead of getting like 50 all at once and I get overwhelmed. And the first people who ask the questions on the sheet, they get really good answers, and then over time, I don't want to give bad questions toward the end. So 10 to 20 questions per video is great for me. If I see that I get 10, 20 really fast, I have no problem with just making it 1 or 2 days afterwards. I think that's pretty good. If you guys think that's too many, let me know. We're all trying to learn together. That's all we're trying to do. So to start this off, this will be the title of the video most likely. Really great question from Erratic Wool Gathering. I can't that name, bro. That name gets me going. Are we live? Are we live? We are live. Erratic Wool Gathering. Steve, can you tell me when you felt comfortable enough to quit your day job to go full-time Pokemon? Was it more of a rational decision or an emotional one? Are you glad you quit your job when you did, or would you have done things differently in hindsight? That's an amazing question. I think I've answered this once before, or maybe twice before, but I didn't go into nearly as much detail as why, how, or when. Every person's circumstances are different, so please don't take my circumstances and use that to like kind of bend your own decision to like quit your job and pursue something full time. But I will go through the whole story. We'll get it right. I'm gonna write it all down too, so you guys can keep track, and maybe I can keep track. I'm trying to become a better storyteller or something like that. So let's get rid of number 5. But hey, don't make fun of my bald spots, by the way. Someone messaged me on Instagram like, "You're bald as hell, Steve." I was like, "Yeah, well, I didn't know that until I started making videos, but I guess I'm just bald now, so whatever." So let's start. Let's go here. Started buying and selling 2015. I was working full time when this happened. I need some water already. This is crazy. So I started buying and selling 2015. Things back then weren't too crazy. So 2015, I think my first year of selling on eBay, it wasn't full-time selling. I was just like, I started on like 2014, I guess, with like Nintendo consoles, but 2015, 2016 is when I started really with cards. I think it was around 6K. I probably should write smaller. So $6,000 in sales in 2015. I was still working my full-time job. My salary is around 60,000. These are all Australian dollars, by the way. So whatever that is in your currency, whatever 60K, probably like 40,000 US or something, roughly about that. And then we go 16. I think I did around 13,000. So I doubled. I was doubling my spending, and I was actually spending a lot more than I was selling, but that's because I had that 60K salary. I'll put that down here, 60K salary, and my salary kind of stayed the same all the way through because I was a supermarket manager. I just managed like the fresh produce section of the supermarket. Nothing crazy, nothing amazing. A normal job. I love that job. Honestly, if I could go back to that job right now and just put the Pokemon thing on hold for like 6 months, 12 months, I would probably do that because you never know what you really got going on till it's all gone. But that was a lot of fun. It kept me physically fit, kept me talking to people. I didn't become a crazy bald guy in this basement room, I guess. So we got 2016, I sold around 13K. Then we got to 17. 16, 17 are really crucial moments. So this is around, what is that? There's the 20th anniversary, I think. That's when Evolutions came out. Base set was just like going crazy. And when I first started, I only focused on old English cards. So I only did old English cards. And around the time, Evolutions, everything, it was nuts. So towards the end of 2016, I think 2017 is when I really thought of this of being like, okay, I can actually do something serious with this. I can be more than just what I am. I think at around 30K in 2017 in sales. Might be a little bit more, give or take. It's a little bit, my memory is not very good, but roughly 30K all of 2017. So I'm still earning the 60K, and a large majority of my paychecks are going into the cards to buy more. So I'm not really using the card money just to buy cards. It was like card money every time I sold something. I would buy more cards, but then I would get my salary and I'd buy more cards. But I also, to premise this, I had a relationship and I was the only person making money. So obviously I had to still cover like rents and food and bills and all these other things. I was very stupid. I first got my first real full-time job around this time. I think around 2016, I bought a brand new car, and that cost me $38,000 Australian. Didn't pay for any upfront. Got a huge loan that was costing me like $700 a month in payments. I paid that off over 7 years, and it was the worst thing I could ever possibly do. I can't even imagine how much better off I would be now, honestly. Even if I'm doing actually pretty good now. I'm pretty happy how I am. I'm very happy, to be honest. But if I didn't do those stupid things like buy some stupid car, spend money on car parts, spend money on just random stuff, the relationship I had at this time was extremely bad for me. If I didn't have all those things going, I can imagine. But obviously, that made me better at what I'm doing, better financially. I know not to make mistakes like that now, even if I have way more spending. So that's not what this is about. This isn't a pity party. But 17, we got about 30K. And then 18, what was it? That was around like 75,000 in AUD in sales. Now, these numbers, they're growing, right? They're going like crazy. It's not all me. It wasn't all me. Let me just preface this. I think a lot of people might want to say that, yeah, I was crazy. I used to sell 6K and then I doubled it and I doubled it and I kept doubling it every year. But Pokemon was like growing like crazy. It was like rapidly. 16 was crazy. 17 was crazy. 18, we did have a little bit of a dip, but there was still so much volume of people buying. So it wasn't all me, to be honest. I was still putting all my money back in and just flipping, but like selling something for $5 in 2015 was the equivalent of selling something for like $30 or $50 in 2018. Like the prices were just higher. Kind of like it is like compared to now, it's just like a $50 item in 2018 is like a $200 item now. It's not even comparable. It's like the money and the values are like nuts. So even though I was doing better and I was growing, we got up. So 2018, that's when I quit my job. I had a lot of money coming in. I was getting more money from Pokemon than I was of my income. And the job, I was happy, but at my certain position, I had an injury. I had like a life-changing moment. I had like a hernia in like a certain private area. I don't want to really say it, but it's down there somewhere. And it was really bad. I couldn't really walk for like 3 to 6 months. Everything was it was pretty shit, to be honest. I don't even thinking about it, it just sucks. It just really sucked. And that really was a bad moment. And then I couldn't really, even if I wanted to work, I couldn't work just as well as I did beforehand because like walking was a struggle. The pain was not great every day. And I was pretty unhappy. So I did quit my job, but for other reasons of not just like my Pokemon cards were doing really well for me. It was the same time, like the money equivalent with the cards was really good, but also the reasons why I quit the job. Like I couldn't perform it at an adequate level that I was used to. So I did stop working. Now, it was a great thing. Going from 2018, I think July, I might have quit around July area, I quit the job. And then in 2019, in January, I got another job. So we're back to, I guess we'll put 19 up here. So in 2019, I got another job. And it is hard for me to admit. I thought I'd be able to do it, and I thought I would go well. This does tie into the start of your question now. Sorry, I had to do this whole thing to just give you a background, but I felt comfortable quitting my day job in 2018 when I was making more sales online than I was getting paid my salary. But that was an emotional decision. Oh, sorry. Is that emotional? Yeah, I guess. that was like slightly rational, but very emotional. I was like, yeah, I can do it. But then I realized the moment that this, $800 every week, $800, it was coming in every week. I was losing that. And my sales, I wouldn't really say they were going down, but the amount of money that I was able to spend was definitely going down because I didn't have like $800 coming in every week, covering all those bills, those things. I want to go out to dinner, get some nice things, buy a new computer, this and that. All that stuff really dropped because money wasn't coming in. I had to make the money. I wasn't getting paid from somewhere else. The 2019, 6 months after I quit my first job, I got another job, and I worked that job for around 6 months. But I think that 6 months was just that extra 6 months of like income and working and like getting my head right and like really narrowing all my bills down and paying certain things off and making sure I had no credit cards and no other debts. And I still had that pesky car loan. Obviously, it's very disgusting. It destroyed me. But apart from that, in 2019, I think it was around, I want to say like 120K. So I was still growing because of all like the always just putting every single last dollar into Pokemon. I got very lucky because everything was kind of going up and it was becoming easier to sell. It was getting harder to find things, but if you're like smart in this, a $10 item is always going to be a $10 item to buy. There's always going to be a $20 item to buy. You just got to figure out which ones they are. If you're around for long enough, you can kind of figure it out. If you stick around long enough, we can probably figure those out together. But that's a lot of talk. You're making me talk heaps. Wool gathering, what's going on? So 19, around 120K in sales. I worked for another 6 months. What happened in 2020? So I quit my job, I want to say July 2019, July, June, August. I moved 6 hours away from the city. I lived in a really cheap place to rent with my new partner, who was still my current partner. We had a really cheap place to rent. She had a great job. We were both supporting each other. I was in a much better environment. It was like great. 2020, that's when things just went crazy. I mean, a few months go by. COVID start of 2020. I really thought the world was going to crash. The world was going to crash and burn. No one has a crystal ball, right? So I thought 2020 was going to crash and burn. I actually sold a few key pieces out of my collection at the time. My collection was like PSA 10 WotC holos. I had like some first edition ones. I had some base set unlimited holos, a whole bunch of like 10s of like Jungle Unlimited PSA 10, some Neo PSA 10s and stuff like that. And man, I sold those. I can remember I sold 2 Venusaur base set PSA 10s for like $400 in the start of 2020 to someone. Fast forward 6 months, that was like 2,500. That was like 3,000. That was like 4,000. I was like, man, what's going on? This could never have. No one ever saw this coming. But are we still rolling? I'm gonna do this a whole bunch. I don't want to miss the footage. Last time I did this, I did like 15 minutes of recording without checking. But 2020, I don't really know how much I sold. I want to say it was around 200K. That was when I really felt like, okay, I can do this. But it wasn't all me. I had stuff that just skyrocketed in value. Like it wasn't all me. I still remained consistent buying and selling. I've shipped maybe 80. Sometimes I say 50,000, but I checked my website the other day and like my total orders sent, my total items packaged, and I've sold like 40 something thousand items since like 2019. And before that, I used to do only really cheap stuff. I've probably sold almost 100,000 individual items online, offline, and bulk lots and private deals and everything. Oh, I can't even imagine. So I've consistently worked every single year as much as I physically can, taking as many risks as I can, stupid risks, buying as much as I can, spending every dollar. In 2020, even if I spend 200,000, there were weeks where I went down to $1,000 and I just had no, like even less than $1,000. I had debts. I either tried to stay bad debt free, but I still had like little personal loans or PayPal loans or little credit card things that I was kind of leveraging to buy more stuff because everything's just gone crazy. In 2021, it was pretty nuts. So we'll go forward on and on and on. But to answer your question, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, I was glad I quit my job in 2018 because it really made me realize that I couldn't do this without the job. And now I have that experience and I can tell you that's what it is. I went back to work in 2019. I worked like another 6 months, earned like another 30,000, 35,000 from that job. And then I really did realize. But you got to remember, it's not just me that like did it all. Like, if prices of Pokemon stay the same since 2015, I most likely would probably cap out at around like 100,000 in sales. I would just do a lot of volume. I mean, if even volume was even that like big back then, I would probably be selling a lot. but it would be different. It wouldn't be all PSA cards. Like people didn't really buy that much PSA back then. It wasn't that crazy. It would be a lot of like $1 to $10 singles. I'd probably have like my whole life would be completely different. I'd have like a 50-bedroom house with every house would be each set of base set or something like that. Either jungle set room and they got a fossil set room. That's probably what it would be like. But what I would have done differently in hindsight, I would have tried to stay in that first job as long as possible before quitting, but that second job was like considerably better than the first job. So it's really hard. Hindsight's one of those things where like you just don't know what could have happened. But what I can say for other people, stay in the job for as long as possible. I mean, buying and selling on eBay, you can do that any hours of the day. You don't have to list items at 9 a.m. in the morning. You don't have to list items at 5 p.m. You can do it whenever you have spare time. That's the beautiful thing of buying and selling. It's an amazing thing that you can just do outside of work hours. Stay working as long as you possibly can. If you have a little bit of money put aside, definitely stop working at a place if it is not good for your mental health or not good for your physical health or not good for everything around you, or it's like a 2-hour commute. Try to find something always that's like close to you actually enjoy doing. Because if you're waking up every day and you're just like pissed off and life's not good, even if you're buying and selling, it's not going to make it better. So if you can possibly go to a different job, might be lower paid, but if it makes your mood better, when you get home, you're going to be in such a better mood to like actually do stuff like this. Like you're going to be in a way better mood to buy and sell. And that's how I felt with that job in 2019. The main reason I left that job is because we moved 6 hours away from the city. It wasn't really that I wanted to quit that job as much, but as I explained, this day and age in Pokemon, there are a lot of people who do make it their full-time thing, and it's awesome to see. There's so many there's thousands, not just me. I'm more vocal about it than most people. I'm online, I'm in front of a camera, but I know people that make more than my full-time salary every month, and they're just chilling in their at home in their drawers all day, just like I am. They're just not more vocal about it because they just keep to themselves. But it's crazy the amount of people who are doing it, and it is extremely possible. It takes extreme amounts of risk, and it's not forever. You got to realize that. This might actually not be forever. It doesn't really feel like it's ever going to stop, to be honest. Like as crazy as this is lately. But remember, we've got 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. Things will change. It's having work experience, dedicating your time to things. 2 incomes is always better than 1. So what I would advocate is to stay in your job as long as you possibly can. If your time is being taken up a lot by selling on eBay and you want to quit your job, maybe just try to sell more higher value items that's less percentage profit margin and more dollar figure profit margin. I sell cards that cost me around $30 each usually, and my main selling price is like 50 to 60. So after fees, I'm getting like $20 to $25 per card in profit. That's good for me. Some people, they sell a card, they buy it for $1 and they sell for $5. I also do that as well on my other eBay account, but that's 500% versus 50%. But the dollar figure is much higher. So it takes you, because listing an item in a trading card usually takes the same amount of time, whether the item's $20, $1, 10 cents, $50. Does that make sense? Does that help you out? I really hope this whole thing helps you out. If there's anything you want me to do better on next time around wool gathering, let me know. I can go more into depth with this sort of thing, because I have no issue with explaining how I got here and everything that happened. And I have no issue telling you that it wasn't all skill. There's so much luck involved. Once in a lifetime thing, pandemic, money being pumped, it's all not. Even thinking about it, my brain hurts. But thanks for the question. Obviously, this is probably going to be the main question of the video, so I really do appreciate you asking something like that. Let's just get rid of this so we can go on to the next. The old days, man. I remember my best deal back in the day. I'll just say this. My best deal back in the day. Someone found one of those like Ancient Mew sealed boxes from like the movies. I bought 2 cases from him. There was $600 per case. I'm pretty sure there's $600 per case. 2 cases. It was $3 each. So I think that was around, what's that, like $3,600 for 1,200 sealed Ancient Mews. I had a listing on eBay where I had almost 1,500, 2,000 sold on the Ancient Mew, and it was like $20 each, $25 each. And that was just, I can't even, I miss those days sometimes, to be honest. it was lots of fun buying more collections instead of trying to find like single cards, because there was just more to buy. It wasn't as easy to sell, and like collections were like only $100 instead of 20 million. Shipping was cheaper. Everything was a lot more calmed down. You never know when you're in the good old days until you leave them. All right, Brody plays. You've mentioned while answering another question that you've pretty much completed your TCG goals and wanting original artist works now. Who's your 3 favorite artists and why? Oh, that's crazy. Well, first of all, I say a lot of things a lot of times, and maybe I say them in the moment, and I have pretty much completed my TCG goals, but I am a rare card hunter. Love the rare stuff, and finally I'm at this point where I can buy the rare stuff, and I never got to buy the rare stuff earlier on because obviously you saw didn't have any money. My life sucked, and now it's getting to the point where my life doesn't suck and I can buy the rare stuff. So what I will say is my TCG goals, my own personal ones, I set out to buy a whole bunch of the modern Pokemon card trophies from Japan from roughly like 2010 to 2023, and I almost got all of them, but I'm just happy the ones that I have now, and I don't really need to get every single one of them, and I'm just happy with the ones I have. They're getting really hard to find, and I'm personally content with the ones that I have. In saying that, if I ever see a rare card that I know sells for a significantly amount more, or I know that's really rare, I know there's only 10 of them, I only know there's 20 of them, and I know it's underpriced, the sale price, regardless of what it is. If it could be 100,000, it could be 10,000, it could be 20,000. If I think that card's underpriced and I can buy it from that certain place or certain person, I'll always buy it. If I can't afford something, sometimes I'll leverage a little bit to buy it, and then I'll try and get rid of a bunch of cards. I'm sure you've done it before. You bought something you can't really afford, and you'll try to fire sell a few things or get rid of a few things to afford it and put in your collection. Because there's a lot of cards that I never even thought in the world that I would have a chance of buying. Now, recently, I said in one of my Mail Day videos, the one I got from Japan, I bought a Snap Charmander. That is a card that's never been on my radar. That's a card, last sale I know of was like 100,000 US dollars, something like that. They're all ridiculous. All the snaps, they're all ridiculous. Everything's ridiculous. Everything's crazy. It's all a little bit too much to handle. All the old trophy cards, all the old Pikachu cards, the Illustrator, the Trophy Kangaskhans, the Tropical Mega Battle, all these crazy mega rare trophy cards in Japan, I've always just mentally clocked out of them because I just know that I've just... Maybe it's not that I can't afford them, but I just can't hit that level. But, lo and behold, a Snap Charmander popped up. I recently sold 2 trophies out of my collection because I had duplicates of them, and I was offered a lot of money. All I basically did was like, okay, well, I have this money. A Snap Charmander comes up. It was for sale. It was like 6.5 million yen is how much it cost with my middleman fees, whatever that equals. 70 something, I don't really know. But I think US dollars, maybe like 45, 50. And it's a great deal. And if people watching this, I've had... Well, the last video I did, some people offered me on the Snap Charmander on the Instagram. And they're like, you paid 70. Would you take like 85? Would you take 100? Would you do a quick flip? And it's like, no. It's a card they'll never get back. So please stop asking. But, one day I might actually sell something like the Snap Charmander that I did buy. Because I didn't set out to buy it. And it's not something that I love. And it's my favorite thing ever. But I have it now. And now it starts to become one of my most favorite items because I mentally checked out from buying it. But now that I have it, and I sold other things in advance to buy it, I guess, it is a part of one of my goals. And maybe one day I would like to get some of the other Snap cards or another maybe ultra rare card there's only 15 of. But like I said, most of my TCG goals are completed. I'm extremely happy with where my collection's at. But I'll never say no to something that's like significantly rare that I can just sell some other items and immediately buy that Charmander. Does that make sense? Or not just a Charmander, but anything in person. Anything like that. But to get on to your other question, collecting original arts. I mean, I recently went to this artist event in Japan called Magiten, and I actually have them all here. Now, I actually don't remember most of the names. I have them written down, but I'm just going to show these off. I hope you can see them. I'm going to see if this even looks good on this camera. Oh, it does look good. So I bought these. This equivalent to Pokemon cards. These were like 180 US dollars each, like 30,000 yen. I mean, they just look amazing. I mean, look at that. This is actually a quite prominent manga artist in Japan, I was told. And stuff like this, I have a lot of wall space that needs to be filled, so I have no issue having stuff like this on the wall. But for some reason, I just have these all like just stuffed in this corner here. So I bought a bunch of Shikishi boards from some artists. You know, this guy's funny. His name's like Hagemaru. I'm just gonna show this like this. Hagemaru, this is awesome. You know, he wrote like, "Thanks for coming to Japan." He did another one for me, but this one's awesome. This is done by Kurumitsu. He's a Pokemon TCG artist. He was there. So that's what I'm talking about when I say like original arts. Now that I know that these Magi events exist, I would rather have some stuff like this as hangs on the wall rather than just buying like another $300, $400 Pokemon card for myself. This is from the person who created the RPG called Moon. They actually call it like an anti-RPG for whatever reason, but it's pretty awesome. And this is another one I got from the Hagemaru guy. Look this up after this video. Go on YouTube or just pause the video. Go type up Hagemaru. It's actually a quite funny comic. And I know the character from one of the front covers of the, what is it called? The Koro magazine. I saw him one day, and then I saw him at the event. I was like, oh my god, is that guy? And then he explained it all to me. And that's why I got this one. This is from Koki Saito. Yeah, he did all like the Poncho Pikachus and stuff like that. The artist of that. He drew this, and like I said, this is like $300 original artwork, just of his stuff. It's pretty awesome, full color. It's great. This is from one of the game directors of Final Fantasy. One of my favorite IPs. I love Final Fantasy 7 and 8. Spend hundreds of hours playing that stuff. And stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So maybe I'll show these all in another video, but I got this one here. It's like, this is from Kamiya. So we drew this. So he was selling his art at the event. This was like $120. He wrote, "This is my dog." I have an original drawing from him as well that he did for me. I commissioned him to draw my dog. But it's just pretty awesome. I mean, it's just his cat and one of his duck figurines. It's nothing too crazy. That's what I mean by like, I like the original. I would just rather, you can buy stuff from like Pokemon TCG artists, and you can buy stuff from other artists for extremely cheap compared to like Pokemon trading cards. And that's probably what I meant by that. Because I have wall space that should be filled with beautiful things rather than just putting in another $200 card. And that's not really stuff that everyone has to do, but that's what I'm trying to get better at, I think. We got 27 minutes. Holy crap. I'm only 2 questions in. 27 minutes. And so who's my 3 favorite artists? I mean, I think it's really hard because they're all so great, but I really like the Full Art Trainer. So Megumi Mizutani, probably like Naoki Saito. Love the Poncho Pikachus. Kogi Saito is great. Kamiya is great. His artwork's like absolutely insane. You know, there's no reason why. It's just the cards that I like. I mean, I like Himeno because the original Vaporeon was my very first card. But overall, I don't really have like a favorite artist or even top 3. I just like almost all of them. I don't really think there is much bad art. My most favorite and loved cards in my collection are all done by 5-Man Graphics. And you know, I'm one of them. Probably, I love 5-Man more than anyone in this world, I think. I think they're awesome. I think the 5-Man Pikachu, like the 3D Pikachu they do, is quite great. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, I'm not really. I love all of them. So thank you, Brody. So Ali's Treasure Trove. Do you have any advice for individuals who would like to buy, sell, collect more cards, but have a hard time selling cards? Not in terms of the cards not selling, but the willingness to let stuff go. Even if you aren't super attached to them or no longer like it as much as you once did. That's a really good question. It's really hard. I'll try to describe this on the whiteboard for you in a way that I can explain it. How do I explain this? So let's say if you've ever been on my website, I have a few cards that are like priced quite questionably. The market price of the card might be around $500, but I have it listed at $2,000. That's pretty much the same thing you're describing. I have a card that I want to sell, but I don't actually want to let go of it because I think it's really cool. I mean, I have many in these boxes. I'm sure I could find one somewhere. Even this, like right here. Alakazam Gold Star, right out of the box. PSA 7, nothing too special, but I know getting Gold Stars, especially, you know, Alakazam Gold Star is awesome. Getting Gold Stars is not very easy. I have my prices quite high on them. I'm not willing to let them go at the current prices. So in my opinion, to answer the first question, you just list everything. If you have a 1% inkling in your mind that you want to sell it, list it on eBay. Put it a little bit higher than everyone else's, even double the highest listing. So you can't be like price rapidly goes up and then you get bored and then you're like, oh no, you know that you sold it for a price you're comfortable for. Second thing, put best offer. So, we'll write this down. So price high, price it high. This is for cards that you don't want to sell, but you obviously want to sell them. You don't want to sell them, but you want to sell them. We'll price them high. So we'll put them up high. I don't do this, but this is really good. Put best offer on. This gives you an idea. This is also a great thing for most people who are buying and selling. Best offer is like free information. It's what other people or buyers are willing to pay for the item. You can use that information greatly. That is probably the one thing I missed from having best offer. This is like a actual insane amount of information, but best offer, let's say you have something listed for $100 and someone offers you $60. I got a big scratch on my board there. I don't even know how that happens. So you got a list for $100, someone offers you $60. And you go, wow, that's $60. That card really worth $60? So what you do, you search your card on all the secondary websites or marketplaces and stuff if you're selling on eBay, it's not really the best place to get the best deal some of the times. It can be sometimes, but to be honest, other secondary marketplaces like Facebook and Craigslist and local Facebook pages, even just random people Instagram, Mercari, all these other places, there might be somewhere where you can find the card that you have listed for $100. Someone wants to buy it for $60, and of somewhere there's another one listed for like $40. Let's just imagine all the items are the same condition. Another one is listed for $40, and then you can see another one listed for like $60, another one listed for $70. All these little extra information. So from you listing your card for higher than everyone else, someone offers you. It's not a guarantee they'll ever pay for it if you do accept it, but someone offers you $60. You can use that information to just see, this is how much I can buy it for. So maybe you counter offer $70, and they accept quite fast, hopefully, and then they pay for it. You go and you just go, I'm just going to go buy this $40 item. And this can work for any price range. It goes for $10,000. It goes for $100,000. It goes for $4. It goes for $100. It goes for $200, $300, $500. It doesn't really matter. As long as you got your item, you price it high, you got a best offer, you find the same item for lower, you sold it for $70. This is all, Jesus, what is that? This is all hypothetics, right? So that makes it, you got your $70, whatever, you got $60 after fees on eBay. You go buy the item for $40 or someone else. You've got this card back in your collection / inventory. That's a really great way to look at things, like a collection / inventory. Even though these items are all in boxes and they're all inventorized and all listed for sale, they're still an extension of my collection. I mean, there's a lot of things in here I actually don't want to sell, but I'm extremely happy to have them listed. I mean, look at this card. Why would I reasonably sell something as beautiful as this Espeon Reviving Legends? I mean, it's not easy to get stuff like this anymore. I'm very happy to keep this listed quite high for a long time because I love that Espeon. I mean, I've been doing this. You saw before, 2015, 2016, I have sold stuff like that Espeon over and over again. And then I get to this point where I'm like, man, I wish I didn't sell this because prices go up, stuff gets hard to find, etc., etc. But this is what I do all the time. Whenever I have something that I don't really feel like selling, I price it high. People send me offers, or I just look it up, the sold listings. I see what other people are selling for. I look if I can buy it from somewhere else for a little bit less. I sell it, and then I buy the other one, and then I just put it back up for the original price that I wanted. Rinse and repeat. Some people do this as a full-time business. They don't sell very fast, but when they do, it's profitable, and they can replenish the item that they have. Sometimes they buy it, and then they buy two. They sell two, sort of thing. They sell one, buy two. Sell one, buy two. It's kind of like more of a grading thing because the margins are much higher, but the risk is much higher. I'm not going to get into that. Oh, that's lots of talking. So, and the other terms is, I think it's a great thing for what I do with answering your questions, like not being attached to things. Every month, every 2 months, go into your collection, do a deep dive, do like a top 50 list. If you got 50 items in your collection, you do a top 50 list. You actually just rank them. Just do like a little tier list. You have like A, B, C, D, E cards, and you'll know, your brain will tell you, okay, I think this is like in my collection, this is like an A card. Okay, you don't sell that. You get cards down to B and C. Those are the cards that you list for sale. Price them high, get rid of them, use the money to buy something else for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people I don't sell out of my collection. My collection, once it goes in there, it doesn't go out. Well, that's perfectly fine for you. But for me, I have bought and sold items that I told myself I'd never sell. And then I sold them to buy something else that I thought I'd never buy. Just like the Snap Charmander, right? I sold those other cards that I bought that are extremely rare. They're probably never going to come up for sale ever again, most likely. At least in my lifetime. But I sold those for the chance of getting something else exceptionally rare that might never come up. And obviously, not everyone's dealing with really exceptionally rare stuff, but the same thing goes for a nice condition of your favorite card or something like that. It's all this big cycle. You just have to understand, rank the cards you have in your collection, maybe get rid of the bottom 10 and then sell them, and then have that in a separate, in the back of your brain, like a fund. Like, okay, I sold those cards for $500. I'm going to use that $500 to add those other 10 more items to my collection. Or maybe you only buy one and then your collection's 41 items, but then the next time you do the list, you only take off 4 items. It's a ongoing battle, and I completely understand it. There are some things that I always tell myself I never want to let go of, and then I eventually do let go of to buy something else that I never thought I'd be able to get. So I hope that does help, and I hope this, whatever this is, helps you out. This whiteboard's really handy. You know, you can draw whatever you want on a whiteboard. Like, I could straight up just draw a smiley face right now, and without having to do like any sort of video editing, I can just do whatever I want. So it's pretty fun. All right, Justin DIR. Justin D. Is that it? D. How do you keep up with all of this? With all the sales, do you have a huge team of people helping you source, sort, and list and ship? No, I do not. I don't have anyone working for me directly. I have my partner who works on the single card store, and we work together sometimes. But it's just us two. But for the last 7 years, it's mainly just been me. I don't think it's necessary to have a team of people. Until you get to an extremely high level of volume, where you obviously need more people. But I've tried to stay away from that high level of volume. I know many people that have gone to like selling sealed products and ordering booster boxes at retail and doing high volume, very low margin. I just tried to like raise the sale price of all my items over time. So if I'm selling 10,000 items, I don't really want to go to like 11,000 or 12,000. I just want to stay at 10,000, but I just start selling things that are more expensive. So the time and effort is getting put into more things that are more expensive. But that takes a lot of time and a lot of like money over time and building, but it's all by myself. I think it's extremely doable. If you don't get distracted easily, you can list a lot of cards very fast. If you don't get distracted easily, you can do packages extremely fast. If you don't get distracted, you can inventorize things extremely fast. And if you need help with all those things like source, sort, list, and ship, source is a really bad one. Probably can't help you with that, but if you want to ask individual questions next time about how to sort things really fast, or how do I list things really fast, or how do I ship things, I can really break those down to you for it. I'm actually going to make a mental note here. Maybe I can make a sort, and list sort of full video to give you sort of like an idea of what I'm doing, and maybe that can help you out. But you can ask in the next Ask Steve, and we can really break it down for you, Justin. J Will 007, what's going on, man? What would your advice be for someone starting up a multi-TCG pop-up store? Pros and cons of doing that. Also, what products, brackets, cards, should I always have in stock? All right, Jay, well, that's a crazy question. If you're just asking because you're going to start a store or you're thinking about starting a store, that's good. If you're already started the store and now you're asking, that's bad. But I'm going to put this question at the end because that'll be the question I'm going to finish with. So I'm going to put that here. I'm going to end with that question because that's going to take me like an hour to answer that, to be honest. So we'll get through the other questions. There's only 5 other ones. So we go Matt V2. I've never actually thought about using promoted listings. So you think we should actually do 2% promoted on each listing? Yes. I think I covered that in the last video quite thoroughly, Matt. You should promote. It's pretty nuts. I think I was just looking at my impressions the other day on eBay. My normal listings without promotions get like 250,000 impressions every day on eBay. So that means when people search up, they see it in the search, Pokemon, whatever they search, 250,000 times my listings pop up. The promoted listings, so all my listings with their promotions, they pop up 1.2 million times. So me promoting my items, I don't even know how. I think at the moment I was like 4% on average across everything. I get, I guess, 1.2 million versus extra eyes on all the listings. And now it isn't perfect because sometimes if someone types in like, let's say Ali buys Wooper cards, if someone goes PSA 10 Wooper, there's going to be an extremely small amount of those listed, and mine will come up as sponsored, and then my actual listing will come up because there's not that much. But in general, getting more eyes to your store because they buy off you once, and then the idea is they go to your store directly and they buy off you the next time. you're kind of paying for that first customer interaction. And it does suck to pay more in fees, whatever. I don't really care about fees anymore. I used to care about it a lot. I was like, damn, fees, FeeBay, all this other stuff. But I've just realized it is just a cost. It is how it is. As long as you make more than 1 cent on the item, you get a feedback, you get a customer interaction, you get to ship something out. I don't really care if I sell something for $1 profit. If I'm going to go to the post office every day anyway, I just pack it up, pack it for $1 profit. I'm going to go there anyway. I have all the materials anyway. I have everything ready to go anyway. You should definitely promote your listings. Now, how much you should actually do, I think if you're selling a lot of cheaper singles, like $1 to like $20, you should do like 5 to 10% because you can take that 5 to 10% hit a lot more times and it's not that bad because it's all about volume game when you're doing those $1 to even $1 to $10. It's 5 to 10%, and like 10 to 20, maybe you can do like 5 to 8%, and like 20 to 50, maybe like 4% sort of thing. You can average it down. It's really easy to do on the eBay website. But for me, if you do something like $100, it's probably not worth having more than 2%, unless it's like a crazy item that everyone has listed. That's all it is. It's not really that much about like getting the direct item you have in front of people. But if someone types in like Gardevoir, and my item has like a 5% promotion, it might come up above everyone else's. They might not have to like directly search, like even this one here. Whatever. Is this come up on the camera? This one here, maybe they don't have to search like, not Gardevoir, Meloetta, right? Even if they search Meloetta like EX or just Meloetta PSA or Meloetta by itself, my card won't come up at all in that search, top 2 pages, first 2 pages on eBay, unless I'm promoting it. And that's all it really takes. It's just, promoted listings are a part of eBay. It's just how it is. You just pretty much have to use them. I know it sucks, but I hope I answered the promoted listing question again. I think it's something I'm going to get for a long time, because not many people want to use promoted because it's just extra fees for no reason. But it's so worth it. Just try to work it into your actual margin, actual price, and just hopefully it can work out for you for that way. Drew, how do I say this? DrewTube 2012. Wow. I gotta take some English lessons. What's the better long-term investments? Oh, here we go. A sealed UPC. There's a lot of them. I'm guessing you're talking about the Charizard one, maybe? Or a sealed heavy jungle blister pack. Blister, not booster. Do you know how much a heavy jungle blister, not booster, weighs? Well, that's a crazy question. First of all, I don't know how you can... I don't think you can weigh blister packs because like the glue and the milligrams and all these little micrograms, it's too much. So you can't weigh a blister pack. Now, what do I think is better? I don't really... There's a lot of both over time. I think the jungle pack started at like, what, $2 back in the day? 25 years later, it's... I don't know how much it is. Whatever it is now, that's the price. Charizard thing, even if it's 150, 200, man, I don't really know. There are items I don't even mess with. To be honest, in my opinion, Charizard beats out anything most of the time. I'd probably go with Charizard items, but I don't think investment can be used for things that you're just buying one time. It's an incredibly bad way to look at things. Investing is all about consistently putting it in and like gaining a position or like gathering up a whole lot of one thing. I don't think investing is just like buying one thing and putting it on your shelf for display. You're pretty much just collecting, and that's great. I think what you should do is buy the item you like the most, because that's the item you're less likely to sell if it does go up in price. That's the biggest problem with a lot of people. They buy the items they don't like as much, and then they get one little price. So like, let's say this is the life cycle of an item. These days, it feels like that's how it goes. I mean, it's not for every item, but let's say this is like, we're back down here at 2016 and things have been going crazy. And, there's people that sell here, there's people that sell here, there's people that sell here. And there's some people that bought here and they still have the item here because they really like it. I actually don't have any items since 2016. I think the oldest item I have out of everything is like early 2020, mid 2020. A lot of my full art trainers I bought mid 2020. So I'm probably around like the here part with those full art trainers. But we've seen prices from like 100 to 500 to 1,000. And I'm a card seller, right? I'm a full-time card seller. I should be selling as many cards as I possibly can, but I really like those ones. And I just refuse. I just refuse to sell those, whatever price they go up to. Now, don't get me wrong. If they go up to $1 million, I'll probably sell them and be set for life and never work another day in my life. But that isn't going to happen anytime soon. But just remember, when it comes to investing in collectibles, trading cards, whatever you want to call it, you really should be buying the things you like the most, because that's the things that you'll be not wanting to sell as much if it does go for a price jump. A lot of people will sell on the first price jump and they're like, yes, I'm the best. I sold something at a profit. And that's great, right? That's a great feeling. But they miss this one, and then they miss this, and they miss this, and they miss this. And that, I've seen it time and time again with I do a lot of Japanese cards, especially over the last 3 years, a lot of Japanese cards. And I've seen it time and time again. People sell something and they buy it 6 months later and more expensive. They're like, I wish I didn't sell that, because now I really want it, because now it's more expensive. Or I really did like it. I wasn't sure how much I did like it. I hope that helps you out, Drew Chu. Aiden, other than eBay, what's the best online place to find good raw cards to grade? That's a crazy place. I mean, like I said earlier to Ali's question, it's all about looking on secondary marketplaces, Aiden. There's no good place to find cards to grade. The good place to find cards to grade is up here, because how do we know something is worth grading, right? Up here. So the knowledge that we learn from, no matter what it is. So, I mean, I have a lot of graded cards around. I'll try and pick one up. Let's use the Espeon, right? How do we know that this is a good card to grade? So when I first saw this Espeon for sale, I look it up on eBay and I find, a graded card of this card for sale. And then if I go, let's write this down. I'm actually going to do this. We're actually going to do this, Aiden. I'm not sure if you're going to watch this again, Aiden, but let me know if you do. But we're actually going to do this. Let's say this card, these aren't real figures, but let's say I can buy the card raw for whatever, $20. Now, what is the exact question? The best online place. This doesn't really answer the question, the best, because there is no best online place. If I'm really going to answer it shortly, there is no best online place, because it's just secondary markets. There's secondary cards from secondary markets. Someone's old collection, someone's shoebox, someone's mother's throwing out their cards. They're putting them in a garage sale. There is millions of different places to find these things. There's no best. Even if I listed off every single place I've ever bought from, there's thousands and thousands more. So you just got to think to yourself, what is a place that people put their items up for sale on secondary marketplaces? Where are places where people want to sell things that aren't eBay? Like you said, Craigslist, Gumtree in Australia, Mercari, USA, Japan. Secondary marketplaces. They're not retail products. They are secondary items. So you got to go to secondary marketplace. Aiden, you should pay me for this, to be honest. All right. So let's say this item's $20. We're going to find out what's worth grading. So we go on eBay. There's a PSA 10. Actually, we'll just write 10. There's a 10. Sold for 200. There's a 9. Sold for 60. There's an 8. Sold for 35. And the raw is $20. This isn't really something that happens that often, to be honest. These numbers, the 10 would probably be around like 120. In this case, we'll do 100. I don't want to think you can buy $20 items and make them $100. 120. What we do? Does that look right? God, I'm butchering this. This video started off so well. Maybe the camera crashed and then it's no longer recording. No, unfortunately, still recording. So, the raw card, $20, Aiden. How do we know whether it's worth grading? So we've gone to eBay. We've checked the active listings. First thing you do, you check the lowest price. You don't even check sold. You check actually what's available. And whatever's available, let's say a 9 is available. So I'll do it down here. The 9 is available for like $80. An 8 is available for $45. A 10 is available for like $140. And you're like, all right, well, this card's $20 raw. You look at the card, the pictures, right? I mean, obviously, you look with your eyes to see the card's condition. You think it has a chance at a 9. And then maybe a 10. I'll put that in really small. Can you see that? You see maybe a 10? Yeah, you can see maybe a 10. Okay. So we think the card's $20. It's 9. Roughly a 9. I mean, if you haven't graded that many cards, you can't look at a card and think it's a 9. But obviously, you would just look at this 9 of this card. Hopefully, they have good photos and see if it looks similar to this 9. Look at the 10, see if it looks similar. Look at the 8, see if it has similarities between the card that you want to buy raw. All the information is out there about everything, to be honest. It's all out there. You just got to use your brain to find the information yourself. So now we can understand how much is grading. Right now, $15. Thanks for answering that, Aiden. $15 for grading. So now we can see here, you found the card for $20. You got a pretty good deal. It sells for $35 and an 8. So if you grade it, remember, these are the listed prices. So this is the maximum you could probably sell it for, because you can't list your 8 for 50 if someone else has it for 45. You can't list your 9 for 100. Someone else has it for 80. Your card probably won't sell. So you get the raw card for $20. You bought it 15. Most of the chances you are new. It'll probably grade an 8, something like that. But worst case scenario, you break even. That's actually best case scenario. Losing money is the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is you get every single dollar you put back in. So you got 8, you sell it, $35. After fees, maybe you lose a few dollars, but you gained knowledge. Knowledge is more important than money. So, and you get a feedback too. Feedback's pretty cool. It goes next to your profile and shows everyone how cool of a guy you are for completing a sale and not destroying someone. So, but let's say you did grade it and you got a 9. Well, you got $60 here. So you paid 20 plus 15, which is 35. Yep, good job. So $60 after fees. How much is that? Fees is like 13%. So you're looking around, let's just say $50. So you paid 35. You made $50 after fees. Let's say you got free shipping. Oh no, your $50 is all the way down to, let's just say $43. You made $8. You know, getting a 9 is still great. You made $8. You should be really happy. You also gain knowledge. Pretty fucking good. So, like I said, best case scenario, you got the 10. After fees, it goes to around like what, 104? Pretty damn awesome. Fees and shipping. That's when you make the big bucks. You get the 10s. That's what everyone wants, right? You get your 10. Does that make sense? It's pretty much like finding the cards is actually not that. Let me say, finding cards is difficult. I'm not going to say it's not that difficult, but like understanding which cards. There are probably cards on eBay right in front of you, right in front of everyone, that anyone could just buy, grade, and sell and make a little bit of money. Not a lot of money, obviously, because the ones that you can make a lot of money get bought really fast by the people who actually kind of know what they're doing. They do the calculations, they look it up really fast. And this is not an invitation to go out and buy every card and grade it. Don't blame me if you lose money. But I'm just going to say, it's not financial advice, by the way. I'm a cat. But take a screenshot of this. Maybe it'll give you a little bit more sense. But just where you buy the cards is not important. I've bought from every single person. I've driven 3 hours out of my city to buy something from some guy at some sketchy place. One time I went into someone's house to buy something from them. They were having a party. I walked into the house. They go, "Hey everyone, the Pokemon guy's here." The guy was like 27. I think I was like 24 at the time, 25. And they were like 27, like mid to late 30s. Everyone was like, "Whoa, Pokemon guy's here." And he gave me in this big box. I didn't feel like I was being made fun of, but I definitely felt like I was going to die. And how can I explain that to someone? I'll just go buy it off that guy. Well, you can't, because he sold it on a secondary marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace. Does that make sense? It's not about where. It's more about like just putting yourself out there, ticking as many boxes as possible in as many places as possible, searching. I know people that buy from like 7 different countries every week, and they get them shipped to them. They just put more effort in than anyone else. It's I hope that, Aiden, that is probably the best answer you're ever going to get to that question, and I really hope you appreciate that. I hope you come back and actually watch the video, because I put a lot of effort to that. So Henry Stump, hello Henry. Mr. Henry Stump. Is that your full name? Stump. That's a crazy last name. I hope you're like 6'5", otherwise that'd be really bad. Should you only promote when there is a lot of competition? No, you should promote always. I think I explained that pretty well with the Mac question and Henry, so you obviously probably watched it and you're at the question already. But like I said, even the Meloetta, if they search Meloetta, there's not that much competition on that card particularly, even in PSA 9, but they might see it when just blanket searching. And it gets even deeper if you go into like item specifics and you put psychic and they search for like psychic cards, PSA or something. It's like, I think every item on eBay should be at least 2% promotion. I mean, unless you're just like, the price you have it at is so cheap, it just comes up the best match first thing. But I wouldn't ever try to really do that as a new seller. Sorry, budget card breaks. If you had to pick only one card to invest in, and you had $500, which would you choose and why? I have no idea, to be honest. One card. Like I said earlier, one item does not make an investment. You're just collecting. I think you should really just buy something you like. I answered this question pretty much in full before, but what do I like right now for $500? I can't even think. $500 for one card? That's a lot of money, man. To me personally, I really like the Yu-Gi-Oh! The Yu-Gi-Oh! 20th anniversary Blue Eyes White Dragon. But is it 25th? 25th? I think it's 20th anniversary. Might be 25th. It's either 25th or 20th anniversary. It's like a new holo card. It just comes out. There's like a 3-piece set of like the shield. I've shown them off before. It's not $500, but hey, I'm not really going with your rules. I would just get as many of those as possibly can. I really like that card. All it's done is gone down in price. So maybe if you bought it when it first came out, you'd be really sad. But if you bought it now, you might be happy. I mean, maybe. I can't really give advice on what to invest in because $500 is I hope no one asks questions like this ever again. I get stumped on the investing one, to be honest. How far are we in? No one's actually watching anymore, so it doesn't really matter what I say. But, I don't actually particularly invest in anything. I just buy with an idea to sell. As soon as I get it, I either grade it and then list it, put it up for sale at a market price I'm happy with. There's no real investing sort of thing happening. It's more of a whatever. But let's get on to the real question. Thank you, Budget Card Breaks. I think you're quite young, so you're probably caught up in that other communities where they care more about investing than I do. And I don't really enjoy talking about it too much because I just don't really care too much about like long term of like certain items and prospects. And I just buy things I like at the market price they're at. And if they go up, yeah, cool. If they don't, I have an idea of what price I want to sell them at and I list them up for sale. Whatever happens, happens. So, J Will 007 sub. My boy Jay. 1 hour into the video. I'm sorry I have to wait this long to answer your question. Hey Stephen, what would your advice be for someone starting up a multi-TCG pop-up store? Pros and cons of doing that, and also what products, cards should I always have in stock? It just depends. So I'm going to be writing down a lot of stuff for this. I don't even know where my pen went. Where'd my pen go? Did I put it up here? Oh, here it is. So you said pop-up store. So this is not a... Sorry, I had to get some water. I'm dying out here. So let's just write that up here, just so I don't forget. This is a pop-up store. This is not a... You should pay me for this, Jay Will. No joke. This is a pop-up store. This is not a brick and mortar. This isn't something super long-term. I'm guessing you're just going to go in the middle of a shopping center or a mall or wherever you're from, and you just want to get a store going. People buy your items. That's it. So let's have an idea. What does the average consumer buy? What do they mainly want? What does someone go to like a toy store for, or like a local game store? The number one thing, you said multi-TCG, right? And what products, cards should I always have in stock? I mean, this is your business idea, so I don't know if I can give you every single thing, but let's break down the list. At a minimum, if you're looking for a TCG pop-up store, you want to have Pokemon, right? Number 2, you have to look at what's popular. So I guess One Piece. One Piece is something that comes to mind. One Piece, and then you got Yu-Gi-Oh! So TCG pop-up store. You got One Piece, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! This is going to take another hour, Jay Will, my guy. So you got Pokemon, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm not really good at Weiss Schwarz. Maybe that isn't really, because you got to imagine you got to have eye-catching things when people walk past. Weiss Schwarz, how do you spell that? This is like someone's walking like a Steve. Like you have to have stuff that's eye-catching. Well, just imagine that you had a shelf at your home and you just walk past. There's people just walking past all day. That's all they're doing. They're walking past and they see something they like. So you want to have stuff that's eye-catching. A pop-up store, to be honest, based on TCGs, I don't think that's going to work. You can do the same thing at home in your underwear, to be honest. We'll go into that later, but these are the items I'd have. I don't think it's really worth doing a pop-up store with these products because all these products, there is hundreds of people selling them in the same centers you're at the malls you're at, even at like if you go into like a Comic-Con or like a convention where there's other vendors, if you're going to like a market or something, there's probably going to be other people doing the same things. The profit margins on these items, products, they're so slim that I don't think it's worth doing a pop-up store because obviously you have like your fees associated. So what would that be? You'd have to pay like rent, I guess, or and then you'd have to pay for displays. Obviously, if you don't want a pop up store and it's not purely cash and you're actually a business, you got, the business expenses, and then you have to do everything sort of like properly. You got theft because if you're bringing stuff out of your house, you got theft. People walking past, they might snatch something. You got POS systems and you got transaction fees. Like you really got to think of all these things, and then at the end of the day, you got tax, hopefully, and then you got like bookkeeper. Is that how you spell it? I don't think it's an extra K there. I think it's only 1K. Oh, that looks bad. And then you go like, obviously you got to lodge your business tax, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. So compared to like, you still have a lot of these things. Obviously, selling from your actual store, you got like tax, bookkeeper. That might be bad because they're the things that actually share if you have an online store. So don't worry about that. But you don't really have to have a POS system. Oh, actually, yeah, you do. POS system set up. Transaction fees, you still have them online. That's fair. Expenses, yeah, like displays, stuff like that. Maybe an employee. Maybe you want to go to the bathroom. Employee? Is that right? Employee? Jesus Christ, my writing is so bad. But, maybe you want to go to the bathroom, so you can't leave your stall unattended. You have multiple people working with you. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's like a significant other. Either way, someone's going to cost something to do that with you on your pop-up store. So what else can I think of off the bat? But we'll go back to the products. So you want to get the top. You just Google most awesome franchises currently. I'm sure. But what I would do if I had a pop-up store, I would probably focus on things that are more higher margin that people won't see just like in random stores like Kmart, Target, Walmart, Big W, all these other things. I would focus on like figures because figures are really high margin. Plushies are really high margin. Also, they're quite big. People can't steal a plushie, but you can display a plushie, kind of like these ones, right? Like you can display something like this, and it's I just draw my shirt. It's eye catching. This thing, like if you have that on a shelf, it's eye catching. It's a big Pikachu plush. You got a little Yoshi plush. It's awesome. Maybe you get this for like $10, $12. You sell it for like $15, $20. Make a little bit of margin. It's not. I think a TCG pop up store depends on where you have it. I need more information. Jay. But if you actually want to focus on TCG, I'd probably just focus on 5 IPs at a maximum and just try to really have everything. Have all like the collection displays of Pokemon, have all the latest One Piece stuff, maybe a few like tie-ins to One Piece if they have plushies or manga or DVDs. Yu-Gi-Oh! Try to have like the collection tins and stuff like that. Like Dark Magician Girl is really popular. Maybe you can have some Dark Magician Girl figures, some Dark Magician figures, stuff like that. Like Blue Eyes White Dragon, maybe. There's a few like stuff like that. Does that make sense? Like Weiss. I can't think of any other really popular TCGs. I know Flesh and Blood's really popular. All these other things, but it depends on the place where you're taking this. If you're taking this to a TCG convention, then yeah, you probably don't need as much figures and plushies, but everyone else is going to have this stuff if you take that to like that kind of place. So you might want to really expand. This is why I've never really done like an individual event, and I've tried to like go like to an event and sell a bunch of stuff. I'm sure I'd do really well at it, but I just don't really feel like carrying every single thing and all the figures and all the plushies and all the stress involved and everything. It's a great idea, but I really think you can just remove pop-up. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think it is a little bit gimmicky when you could just do an online store, do it really well, put all your stuff on eBay, make your own website, go on Shopify, make your own website. If you need any help with that, I can do my best to help you within reason. It's hundreds of hours of work to go into that kind of stuff. So I can help you within reason, but you just do a store, focus on your things. You'll probably understand once you buy the latest release of Pokemon, everyone else is doing it. You'll probably just lose money. Same thing with all these. You want to go into more niche stuff. That's what I do. I do niche secondary markets that people can't just buy from like a supplier. But there's so much to your question that we don't really have a billion hours. And even if we did, I'm not even an expert at it either. So I can't believe I drew my shirt. What's wrong with me? I don't know, Jay Will. There's a lot of things for your pop-up store. You can, if as you grow it, maybe get better at. Maybe you start really small and just bring like a few things. I know people go to markets, they just bring a few binders, they open them up, sell cards that are cheap. get things that kids really like. You got to have a mind of a child when you get stuff like that, because whatever's eye catching, they just want to immediately go. Like, I'm the kind of person that does like more expensive, and I really like high end collectibles and expensive stuff. So I'm not really the best to ask towards something of like a market. But I know that my game store that I frequent, they carry literally everything. Everything you could possibly think of, they carry it, and they still aren't millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, and they've been doing it for like 30 years. And it is not easy doing an actual game store. I know you said pop up, but like, you have to do everything. You have to be ruthless. You're going to have things that don't work out. You're going to have things that work out really well. Things that work out really well are probably working out really well for other people, so they get oversaturated really fast. You have to be one step ahead of the game. You have to put a lot of money in. You have to time. You'll be working 18, 20 million hours a day. I really think for the average person these days, an online store where you focus on everything, maybe try to get things a little bit older. Like I said, like, I think the PokeFits is a great example. There's not that many people that sell them. USA and Australia, UK, stuff like that. You can make like $10, $20 on like random merchandise. It's it's hard, you know. It's really hard to like answer a question like this off the top of my head when I'm not experienced in it. But I did my best, Jay Will. I did my best. So we'll probably call it there. I hope I answered these questions. So please ask as many questions as you feel. Even if I get 10, I'll try to draw them out, make them a little bit more in depth, use the whiteboard to explain, because it actually does help me quite a lot, even if it doesn't help you. But, oh, and my legs get really sore when I do this, just standing in the same place. I'm getting old, fellas. I'm getting old. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm also kind of tired. It's like midnight, but we'll call it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. I should probably turn off the video now, right? Oh. Thanks for watching.